which one would you say has the highest ceiling? Would it still be Pedri? Would it be Haaland? Is it Wirtz, for example, or even Musiala, who was still so young and so new in this environment and will, certainly for Wirtz, discover the Champions League at some point when he comes back from the injury? Or is there, or you don't know, maybe?
Well, if you look at, for example, Phil Foden, if you look at the way he's been playing now in the latter stages of the Champions League, it's hard to see where's the next kind of stage of performance going to come from, because he's just everywhere, and he's playing with such maturity as well, but also with freshness. The thing with Haaland, I think, what's interesting is his XG is obviously, is 0.82. So you would maybe think that if he were to move to Manchester City with all the cutbacks he gets there and all the chances they're creating, he might score 50 goals a season. That could happen. But I think Pedri, lacks maybe a little bit of end product now. Hasn't quite got the goals yet, hasn't quite got the assists yet, but there's so much technical ability, understanding of football, natural talent. So, he could be a new Iniesta, he could be a world beater. I think there is no ceiling there. He can just keep on growing. I think there are also certain players I think are just made exceptional progress. I think Saka is one.
Yeah,
who's really making a difference now and has developed his game a lot. And if you go down the list, there are a few players that have had difficult seasons, but have such high potential that I expect to see them higher next year. One player I'd mention is Doku at Rennes.
Yeah.
Because, he's had trouble with injuries and a little bit in and out of the team, but once he sets off, he could be right up there, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised to see Jeremy Doku below people like your boy Eric Garcia.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Eric Garcia.
Let's
For me, he's not on the list, so I don't see his name anywhere.
Yeah, okay. It's another Garcia one we haven't heard of yet. I want to ask, so when you scout a player, right? This is just more generally, but also you're evaluating the player's skills, his technical ability, his vision, all this stuff, his acceleration, his strength, his personality. But equally, that's modulated, I think, I imagine anyway, by the system in which he's playing and by the instructions he gets from the manager. Some managers have very specific instructions that they give, very specific approaches and patterns of play. So there isn't much room for freelancing necessarily for standing out. Others, for example, are a lot more loose, leave a lot more up to the players. How do you take this into account when you go and you scout and evaluate a player? Do you consider, okay, this guy's been told not to cross the halfway line, or this guy's been told to go and counter press continually, so he's not going to necessarily be as fresh as the young number 10 who says, just stand around and wait for the ball?
Yeah, I think you can mitigate it to a certain extent with also looking at the national team. Some of these players play obviously already a national team senior level. Some of them are youth internationals, so obviously if they play for the country at under 20, under 21 level, you can tell that they are freer, they are, more expected to express themselves. Yeah, there are certain, you can get a little bit of a false impression based on exactly what you are pointing out there, Gabriella, especially with the pressing, which is something now that you do take very much into account when you look at forwards. And for example, Saka scores very low. I think he has 17, 18 pressures per game. And you have players who are at Leipzig or Salzburg, that would be like Aronson, who's pushing 30 pressures per game, but this could obviously be, tactical considerations. If you play for Atletico Madrid, you might be down to, half of what Aronson is doing at Salzburg. But I think you you also have to enter the research phase with a certain knowledge of how the teams are set up and how they play.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.